Welcome everyone, and thank you for joining us for today's webinar, How to APAP, Getting the Most Out of APAPNYC 2019 Showcasing. My name is Jarrell Jenkins, and I am the Conference and Membership Associate at the Association of Performing Arts Professionals. Before we get started, let's review a few technical items to ensure that everyone is properly set up to participate. During today's webinar, you will have the opportunity to ask questions and provide comments using the chat box. To ensure that this feature is visible, you may need to click the button at the bottom of your screen. It's like a little chat bubble. Within that chat box, check that the Send To drop-down menu says Everyone before you submit that way. That way we can all see your remarks. Today's webinar features APAP staff and a distinguished panel who will be sharing their expertise. After the speakers finish their remarks, we'll open the floor for a short Q&A session. We will read questions directly from the chat box that you have typed to us. Please feel free to use the chat box throughout the webinar, not just during the Q&A. So now let's kick things off. I'll introduce Judy Moore from APAP to get things started. Judy?
Thank you, Jarrell. I'm Judy Moore, APAP Conference Manager and the moderator for this particular webinar. We will now have a welcome from our APAP President and CEO, Mario Garcia-Durham.
Thank you, Judy. Thank you all very, very much for joining this webinar. We know your time is valuable, and I hope you find today educational, enjoyable, and informative. I would like to give a special thanks to Sean and Christine and Patricia and Sarah and Jerry, who will get a more formal introductions a bit later, but thank you so much for working with us on this. You'll find working with APAP and in the field that you cannot do things alone, so we really count on our friends and colleagues to get our work done. So again, on behalf of the staff, the board, the membership, and myself, I want to give you this warm welcome about the very, very, very important issue of showcasing. So thank you, Judy.
Thank you, Mario. We are also joined by other members of the APAP team, Megan Redmond, who's the conference director, and Jenny Thomas, who's the marketing and communications director. The agenda for today will be, we'll go over a conference overview, showcasing information, then we'll have stories from the source, then our Q&A, and then post-conference wrap-up. There are three pillars to APAPNYC. Number one is professional development, number two is the expo hall, and number three is showcases. I'm going to introduce our expert panelists. First, we have Sean Casey, who's the co-founder and CEO for CMI Entertainment. Next, we have Christine Cox, who's the producer and agent, and also the Amazing Max. Patricia Harris, president of Alan Harris Productions and Love Productions Records. Sarah McCarthy is the founder of Dandelion Artists. And lastly, Jerry Ross is the co-founder of Harmony Artists. Now Megan will join us.
Thanks. I will talk just a little bit about what showcasing is. It's important that if you are going to showcase at APAPNYC that you're presenting a high degree of artistic integrity and that this show is ready to present and be presented. It's important that you also research the kind of presenters who might be interested in attending your event so that you can really do some target marketing towards them. You should definitely take some time to determine the type of venue and equipment you need, because if you choose to go into a venue that either doesn't provide the kind of backline you need or anything like that, you could, it could not work out well for you in the performance. You'll also want to make sure you follow up with the presenters that did attend your showcase. So find ways to get their contact information and talk to them. Provide the audience with some program notes and your contact information so that if they are interested and if you do miss the chance to connect with them at your showcase, that they can follow up with you. And it's also really important that you budget and plan really carefully on how to cover your expenses because, as you know, it can become very expensive to produce your show. There are a few options for showcasing at APAPNYC. The first one is showcasing at the Hilton itself. We have a number of rooms that are sold to producers or rented out to producers at the Hilton, and you can book a slot with an experienced producer there. You can showcase outside of the Hilton. If you have connections to venues outside in New York City, you can go there, or you can view our list of possible showcase venues and locations online to get some ideas. And then we also have our VIP Hospitality Suite sponsorships, and that is, those are sponsorships available for specialty rooms up on the 4th floor.
Okay. Thank you, Megan. Next, we're going to talk about production costs. I spend a lot of time on the phone with potential showcase producers. And one of the first things people realize they need to do is start with the budget. Can I really afford to do this? So you need to ask yourself a really hard question, can I afford to do this? Okay. What you're going to take into consideration, space rental, crew and production costs, travel expenses, rehearsal salaries and space, freight for costumes, props, sets, promotional materials, lead follow-up costs. Please use our guide to independent showcasing at APAPNYC for more information and for more help. Next, Jenny, we'll talk about promoting your showcase.
Sure. Thanks, Judy. Now, the reason you come to APAP to showcase is because you have 3,600 amazing people from the industry who are going to come see all kinds of artwork, and so that's why you want to be in the center of the action and in promoting your work in whatever venue you choose, as Megan and Judy have mentioned, for your ready-to-tour work. So what you want to do is, of course, make sure that everybody sees your showcase or that a number of people know where to find you. So I'll talk a little bit about a few of the best ways to do that. We have an online showcase listing system. What that means is that it's a place where you can insert the information about your showcase, and then that information goes to our mobile app, which comes out later this fall. It also is online, and then it will also be in a printed book that is available on site that you'll get as you arrive, and everyone will get as they arrive. So that way, your information on your showcase is there with everybody else's. That system, actually, many of you may have just gotten an email today. That system has now been opened, and so we welcome you to start putting in your showcase information. If you have any questions, of course, we have lots of staff who can help with that. So that's item number one that's extremely helpful. Once you're a registered attendee of the conference, you will also have access to segmented attendee lists through My APAP Conference. This year, it is new that we're actually segmenting them out. They're already pre-segmented, so you can target specifically presenters. And we highly encourage that you look through the kind of information that's in that list, including genre and discipline, interests, whether or not they're a buyer. You don't want to send it to someone who may have absolutely no influence in programming. I know I often still get, and a lot of APAP staff, we get showcase listing or showcase emails, even though we're not buyers. So do your homework. Make sure you're not wasting people's time and flooding everybody's inbox. So to that point, there's a really great series that we have online called Getting Past the Inbox, so that you can get some more helpful tips on how to do email well and to focus on building your relationships with folks at APAP. Additionally, you can promote your booth location so that people can find you either ahead of your showcase or maybe after they see something, then they know where to find you. you can advertise in our quarterly magazine, Inside Arts. We have a deadline coming up for that. Very big issue, the conference issue. It gets mailed to everybody in early December, and then also is available on site. We have our e-newsletter that everybody gets every 2 weeks. It tells them everything about the conference, and you can advertise there. And also in that program, that hard copy program and showcase listing guide that I mentioned earlier, where you also have showcase listings. Lastly, another great way to be seen is to become a sponsor, and there are a lot of different options for that. So, check online under sponsorship and advertising, and you can see all the possibilities, so you can make sure that you put a good marketing, communications, and promotion plan behind your showcasing efforts. And there's more. So showcase listing, I mentioned that a moment ago. They're $75 per unique title. What that means is if I'm ABC Dance Company presenting my new work, then if I'm doing that new work multiple times, just this exact same show, but multiple showcases or multiple performances, that's all just one $75 price. If there's another XYZ company that you also represent, for instance, then that would be a separate title, for instance. But if you have any questions, there are always people on site here in the office who can help walk you through this. You must be a member of APAP and a full registrant for the conference to purchase a showcase listing. You can purchase your listings now on apapnyc.org. That's our website. And you can also visit, while you're there, you'll see that there's the Showcase Help Center. That's once you've logged in. That gives you step-by-step instructions on how to make a showcase listing, create a showcase listing, including a step-by-step video tutorial that will help highlight all of the new features and current features of the system. So that deadline, we do have a key deadline regarding the showcase listing guide, and I should specify, this is the deadline for inclusion in the printed guide. That is the physical showcase listing book that everybody gets when they arrive on site. However, there is no deadline for the mobile app and the online system. Those are in real time. They can be edited in real time should something a day before your showcase change, or a week. Hopefully that doesn't happen, but should you have some changes last minute. However, to guarantee that you are in the showcase listing, the printed guide, the deadline is Friday, November 9th at noon Eastern for you to purchase and publish your listings. And lastly, we've been talking all about making sure your people know who you are. So, showcasing is one of those really important opportunities to have your work be seen. So, we certainly advise that you check out our sponsorship and advertising options to make sure you're communicating and sharing with the APAP community. As I mentioned, you can go to the website and check out our sponsorship options. Some of them that are very popular, for instance, is the tote bag insert. That just means if you have a printed piece or a physical tchotchke or something, you can go with that option. The details of that are online. And then there are other options such as getting logo recognition, or if you have the means and are going for the big bucks this year, you can look at the tiered sponsorship opportunities that create some unique and exclusive exposure opportunities. As for advertising, I mentioned before that you have Inside Arts, the program and showcase listing guide, and digital. The digital will sell out for the months leading up to the conference, so make sure to get your plan in place early. And as you can see there, the reservation deadline for the print pieces, the Inside Arts magazine deadline is coming up on the 5th. That's for reservation only. The art deadline is a little later, and then for the program and showcase listing guide, that will be in early November, on November 8th. That is for a print ad, not for the listings itself, which, as I mentioned, are on the 9th.
Thank you, Jenny. And now to our panel, Stories from the Source. Sean Casey, I'm going to start with you. Are you there?
I sure am, Judy, and thank you for putting this together, because it obviously is a very important aspect of APAP, and for artists to get their names out there, and for booking agents like myself to have their artists be seen. So, Stories from the Source. I know you were asking us to come up with an APAP story. The people that have already spoken prior to me have been very thorough. Some of the things that I was going to suggest have already been covered, but I'm going to go way back when I first got started in the industry about 27 years ago from the agency side of things. APAP was one of the most intimidating things to me. It was always something that, as you're planning for it, I lived outside of New York City, so there's a little bit of that intimidation factor as well coming into the city, and the stories that you hear about the Big Apple. So 27 years ago was just basically a survival story. I think you have two kinds of people that dip their toe in to kind of get used to it or jump right in. And I guess early on I was really trying to feel my way and get myself kind of established, I guess. And I found APAP, even 27 years ago, very helpful. People are so willing to help. Ask the questions, ask the right questions, and you will get the right answers. As far as showcasing goes, as I said, you all have covered it pretty well. I like to have the artist that I'm going to showcase on a card, and that way I can pass these cards out to the bona fide presenters. That's another mistake people make. They're just going around passing these cards out to person after person after person. Identify, as you've been told, the people that you want to come to your showcase. Who is the right audience for your showcase? And I put a card together with all my acts that are showcasing, and then within the various rooms where I'm showcasing, you can usually get a bar set up. That can be done through the Hilton, and they offer beer, they offer wine, sometimes there's rail drinks also. And I make a deal with the Hilton that this card that I have acts as a drink coupon. So the people that you give the card to, you can say, hey, would you please come to my showcase? I think this would be something you'd be interested in. And while you're there, I'd like to buy you this drink. And that's been very successful for me. It gets people to your showcase, and you are offering something back to them for for coming to the showcase. That goes along with what you said, Judy. Can I afford this? It becomes an expense. It is a great expense because showcasing isn't cheap. But then when you add that onto it, so you get your artist to kind of share that expense with you. But I think it's a really good incentive to get people to come out to your showcase if you're offering them something. But as I said, you have to be very careful to make sure that you are passing these showcase schedule / drink coupons to the right people, to the bona fide presenters. So that's kind of a trick that I've had, and I think some other people have also caught onto that too, and it really helps fill your showcase room.
Thank you. Okay, Sean, that was good. Christine Cox, are you there?
I'm here. You guys, I think my computer disconnected, but you can hear me, right?
Yeah, sorry. Yeah, okay, we can hear
great.
you.
No, that's great. So I'm coming at this from being at APAP for about 6 years, and sometimes it's hard to believe that I'm not still a first-timer, but I would say that a big kind of memory for me in sort of thinking about this is when I first came in, and just regards to showcasing and just even getting into APAP, was this idea of it takes 3 to 5 years. And it couldn't be more true from my perspective, because I really feel that once I really hit that 3-year mark, I was really starting to make traction. But a lot of what I did in those first 3 years of even just going to showcases myself and really seeing and understanding what goes on in those rooms, and sort of watching, Sean, like what you're talking about, like I saw that taking place and sort of observing, going, oh, that makes sense. Now I understand what those drink tickets mean, but I'm not going to get one because I'm an artist, but that makes sense. So I think that this sort of slow and gradual and really understanding, it makes it more impacting and more effective. And I know that's not a very deep story, but I hope for it to be encouraging, especially for newcomers, to not walk away in that first year and feel like it was bad, because the truth is, even 4 or 5 years in, somebody says, oh, remember when we met? And it was 5 years ago watching Jennifer Holliday in a hotel room singing her song from Dreamgirls. So you never know who you're going to see and who you're going to meet.
Great. Thank you. Thank you, Christine. Patricia Harris, are you there?
Yes, I am. Can everybody hear me all right?
Yes, you sound good. Thanks. Do you mind sharing?
No, I look forward to it. I'm happy to meet everybody here online talking about APAP. And I know everybody's probably getting ready like I am right now. We're all getting into gear for the showcases and for the conference itself. I jumped into APAP about, I guess it's 16 years ago now, and I got into it excitedly and also for a personal reason. I'm married to a jazz artist, and I really had heard that APAP was where you can make your mark, where you can really get some things done and get some interested presenters to work with and meet a lot of people networking. So I jumped in, I got a booth, I scheduled showcases, and I made the mistake. I didn't realize how difficult it would be, but I booked one act for the entire day. They showcased all day. They mutinied on me about midway through, and I realized I've got to find a way to make this work for myself, for my artists, and for other artists, because I really want to focus on jazz, which I felt was underrepresented in the hotel itself. So I started brainstorming, how can I do this? So I invited other artists to join me the following year, and as the years went on, I did one day, and then I graduated to 2 days, and came up with 2 great days of jazz, and have been doing it for the past 14 or so years. So one of the things that I find very helpful is when I'm always looking at it from the production perspective, because that turns out to be what I'm most involved in these days, is all the artists that I book, I really want them to be, first of all, I want them to be in the, to be jazz artists, to, have a certain professional feel and sound, but also to be very courteous to the other artists that they're working with. And in the past, I have had some artists that weren't courteous, and it can really make it a difficult day, because they can back you up time-wise and schedule. But for the most part, I must say most of the artists I've worked with over the years are very conscious of the fact that they must be professional and timely, and they need to really not go over their time, because that makes it very difficult. Getting people to the showcase, I've been doing the same floor, on the 4th floor. I've been a silver sponsor for many years, and I think, I'm not sure, maybe somebody can tell me this year, am I the only one up there this year, you guys? Does anyone know?
So far, yes. Yes.
Okay, so in the past, I mean, I've had 4 other, there have been 4 other 4 other producers doing showcases on that floor, but now I seem to have it all to myself, so I kind of take it over, and we can put up as many, posters and ads as we want up there on the 4th floor. So I don't find it difficult to get people there, because it's been established for a long time. People recognize that there's 2 great days of jazz, and so I don't seem to have a problem with that. It's been a very successful relationship. I'm very happy that I started with APAP. I think it's made a world of difference. And you're right, Sean and Christine, everybody at APAP is very helpful, and I've never had any of my questions unanswered or help that I needed not met with. So I'm very glad, and I think all the artists, I often speak to artists and they tell me it's too expensive to showcase, and I understand that, but I often tell, most of the time what I tell them is if you don't invest in yourself, I don't think anybody else is going to. So that's just something I feel is very important.
Thank you, Pat. Okay, Sarah McCarthy, are you there?
I am here. Thanks so much.
Great.
You know, what everybody's been saying is so great, and I've been sitting here thinking about what I might want to add. I think for us, and to be clear, I co-produce a showcase with Christine Cox. So we co-produce a showcase off-site during APAP for youth and family programming. And I think one of the things that has really made our showcase successful is that we found great partners to work with. And that goes for your producing partners. You know, I could not produce the showcase on my own. Christine and I have been doing this for several years, and we actually have 2 other producing partners that are totally invaluable and work with us on producing the showcase. But then we also have agent partners that we know will bring great artists to our, you know, to be part of our showcase that we work with each year, like Jerry Ross, so that we make sure we've got a really high level of artistry on our stage and a good diversity. And we'll seek out agents and say, have you ever thought about being a part of our showcase? And so finding those partners has been one of the most important things. And then I would also say, you know, to really think about what sets your showcase apart. Patricia's talking about having built this established jazz showcase at the hotel, and people know that that's where they can find her. We've spent several years now establishing our showcase as the youth and family showcase, where you can see all of this age-appropriate work back to back, and we also have children in the audience for that live kid reaction that just you cannot duplicate in a hotel room. So that's some of the things that we found to really be successful, that I think are tools that other showcasers should definitely keep in mind.
Oh, I like that. I like that, producing partners. First time I heard that. Okay, Jerry Ross, are you there?
I am here.
Yay.
So, certainly a lot has been said. I've crossed off some things on the list that I was going to say because they've been said. I will say that the one thing that has been said that hasn't been emphasized enough, I don't think, is that this is not I'm going to go to APAP and I'm going to kick butt and come home with a whole bunch of dates and I've never met anybody before. It is, like anything else, a business that takes a little bit tough time to develop. And if I don't know who we have on the phone who is listening, if you're an artist, there are 3 floors of people there. So it's going to take a minute for people to find out who you are and to learn who you are. If you're an agency that's never been there before, the same thing applies. An agent friend of mine once said people ask her how her convention was, and she always says, I don't know, ask me in 3 years. So it
Good answer.
It does take a bit of development. We produce 3 nights of showcases in the Mercury Ballroom, which is, I guess it's the largest of the rooms, except for that one little room in the back, the Trianon or something, which gets a little bit of, but the Mercury, we are known for the bigger shows, the high-tech shows, that sort of stuff. And it's taken a while to develop that. I personally just lend my name to it. Crandall Rogers is actually the one who does everything. I just kind of hang out and let her bounce off of me. Sarah's right. You can't. It's very difficult to do this alone. I'm sure Patricia would say the same thing. It takes a ton of work to get it done. But it's all about preparation. If you are, I did want to mention, Sean had said that his card thing is great, but do be careful about what you do with it. We've seen situations where a dance company will go out and they're accosting everybody in the halls as they're walking around trying to get them to come to the showcase. It needs to be a little bit more organic than that. It aggravates me, and I've seen a number of other presenters who will take something and suddenly you've got a whole bunch of cards you spend a lot of money on the ground, and you're not making any friends. Go to the networking sessions. Go to the PD sessions. Meet people, and that's how you really get people to come in. Prep work ahead of time. The written guide, the electronic guide, all of the notifications. Make sure you're posted in there. Do go through the list that's available and do a couple of emails at the most. Don't drown everybody in emails, because understand that I know of one presenter who has a filter on his inbox. If it says New York or APAP, it goes to a dead file. He knows that he'll talk to the people he wants to talk to, and these people are going to be getting 200 to 300 emails a day leading up to the conference. So you want to be circumspect in the emails that you send out. If you're going there desperate to get dates, you're probably not going to be happy, and you're probably not going to be successful. You have to know that it's an organic development. Just like the development of your work or your artist's work, it takes some time. I do have one story. It was not an APAP story, but showcasing is live. And as it being a live show, you never know what's going to happen. We had a situation at one of the regional conferences where a board went south in the middle of the showcase. And we had a room full of people. There was one artist up on stage, or was going on stage, and they were struggling with trying to get them all set up. It was something that could have been done a little bit more of a acoustic sort of a thing. It was a Celtic group, and they had all their instruments. They're all stringed instruments. It wasn't like anything had to run electronically. And they basically spent their 20 minutes yelling and screaming at people, trying to get the thing running, and walked off stage in a fit of frustration. The next group that was up, and of course they were still trying to get the board up and running. The next group that was up was a country group. They had an electric guitar, borrowed a guitar from somebody else, happened to be using a stand-up bass, took a snare drum and a bass drum, set up on the dance floor 10 feet from the group of presenters sitting there, and did their showcase. And got a bunch of work from it, because a presenter is sitting there saying, oh, no matter what happens, these guys are going to come through. I can't speak to the Celtic group, but a bunch of presenters are sitting there thinking, oh my God, if something goes south, who knows what's going to happen? So because Showcase is so organic and so it's live, and we all know about live stuff, if you're an artist, roll with the punches. If you're an agent, make sure your artists know there's not really much telling what's going to happen, but how you react to what happens will tell people a whole lot about you.
Thank you, Jerry.
I could talk more, but I think that's plenty.
That was a good story.
We'll have a Q&A soon, I promise.
Megan.
All right. So, like I just said, make sure if you're on the webinar, type your questions into that chat box, and as you're thinking of them, type them in. We're going to go over a little bit more information, and then we'll open it up to the Q&A, and we'll go back to our panelists. So we alluded to this, or we mentioned this a little bit earlier, our mobile app. We have our APAPNYC 2019 mobile app arriving this fall. You will be able to find, if you are registered, you will be able to find a detailed conference schedule, information, sessions, networking sessions that Jerry was talking about. All of that is there. Exhibitor information and hall maps will be there, so if you are also an exhibitor, you will be able to find your information there. If you are looking for people in the exhibit hall, you will be able to find them there. You'll have a schedule builder, so you can build your schedule from there. You'll also get important alerts and updates sent to you, pushed to the app. And that's also where the showcase listings will go. That will also be there as well as online and in the print. So.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. Yeah, I love that slide. I love that one right there. Okay, Lead Retrieval American Trade Show. That's the name of the company that we're going to use again. We used them last year, and we had good results. So please keep in mind this is an option for capturing contacts. Scan a badge, get the contact info instantly, receive the data in a spreadsheet, and you can rent the device through the GES Exhibitor Kit, which is, found online on the website after you purchase your booth. Or you can go into My APAP Conference and still access it without purchasing a booth. Okay, so now Q&A, Ask the Expert. Panel, does anybody have a story that they would like to share?
We have one question actually already.
We have a real question. Oh my gosh, hold on. What's the real question? Can you please talk about the creation of a good 15-minute showcase? I have a solo show and would love to understand better what is expected. Thanks. That's a real question, guys. Yes, from Rhonda. Did anybody want to take it?
Sure. I don't know what you do other in terms of artists, what your artistry is, or your discipline is, but depending on what you want to do, if you can tell the story of your show. An actor.
Yes.
Are you doing a show?
So she has a solo show.
Okay. So you want to tell the story. You want to be able to deliver the show. I saw a comedian actually earlier this year has a show, solo show, comedy show, and he had a whole video presentation that he talked over during the whole thing, and video died, or they couldn't hang a screen in his room or something, and he did it on, he drew pictures of the story, and he told the story of the show. You want to convey to the audience what they're going to see, what's going to show up in their room. Depending on the style of show or the type of show it is, you may want to give a few pieces of it. You may, in that particular circumstance, want to do some descriptions of what's happening. Can you do outreaches? What makes the show a little special? But you have to try and, it's like anything else. It's 15 minutes instead of 90. You have to draw them in. You have to entertain them. You have to give them something to walk away with. So it's just having to give them something about the show, the story of the show, and why it belongs on their stage.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. Anybody else want to add to that?
Am I coming through? No, I'm not coming. Hello?
Yes,
yes, you're coming through now.
Oh, I'm coming through. Great, great. I had a question. I'm an actor as well. I'm doing a one-person show as well. I was, in terms of determining the cost of showcasing, you mentioned like crew. If I'm just like one guy with a guitar on a stool, what am I going to need as far as technical support? Do I need to hire a crew? Do I need to, is lighting an issue? I mean, if it's just a simple, really bare bones thing of just me connecting with people, what exactly do I need to budget for?
Well,
I'll take that, and I'd also like to add to Rhonda's question too, but since that question has also come in, I would highly recommend one of these production partnerships, you know, where you're working with somebody that already has a showcase room that has all the technical needs that you're going to need. You're talking about that you're with a guitar and a stool. You'll obviously need sound. You will obviously need the right sound. And what you get when you work with somebody like Jerry or obviously Patricia that has the jazz room, and Christine and Sarah, you have people that know those rooms, they know the sound qualities, things like that, and then they'll work with you on your specific tech writer, what your needs are. But as a solo artist like you've just identified yourself as, I would say find a good producing partner that already has a showcase room, that already has all this technical aspects set up, because as an individual, it's going to cost a lot more doing it on your own than, you know, partnering with a group. And to go back to Rhonda's question, and just to add to what Jerry had said, because I have showcased one-person shows. In fact, one of the last ones I did was of Winston Churchill. And try not to be disjointed. Try to have whatever it is that you are going to offer in your showcase be a segment of your production that basically flows. Don't try to, you know, separate it. Just try to give them, you know, like any time that you're out there trying out for anything, give them your best 15 minutes. Try to show the various levels. You know, it takes you up, it takes you down, but try to keep it as sustainable and as you know, not disjointed. If that answers that question for you.
Great. Okay, so we have other questions. Suggestions on networking and pre-conference connections to make the showcase better attended.
The book, definitely use the APAP Bible, and that has every showcase listed in it. I will tell you, every presenter, they come in and they dump their bag and they get the book out and they start going through the APAP Bible. That's what I call it, and it's gives you minute by minute of what's going on at APAP from the time that you check in to the very last day, and you can go through that and see exactly who's going to be showcasing, what room they're in. It's very, very thorough, and it's very informative, and I would say that you have to be in that book. You have to get a showcase listing.
Hello?
I would agree with Sean. Oh,
yeah,
this is Sarah. I just want to agree with Sean and say that the other thing that we find is invaluable for getting people in the room is before the conference begins, maybe 2 targeted personal emails. So these are not things that say to whom it may concern. These are, you know, dear first name, that are emails sent out to people who present your kind of work, and personally inviting them to your showcase. For me, there's no better way.
Well, and just to piggyback with Sarah, this is Christine, that also you have to do your homework. You have to research, and don't be overwhelmed because the list has 500 presenting organizations. Really try to hone in on focusing to venues that might actually book you, and maybe that means targeting a particular region, so that you're not sending a mass email to a bunch of people that are going to hate you because you've now filled their inbox with something they're not going to book.
Yes, and may I add that also, can I add something here? This is Pat.
Yes.
I was just going to suggest that when you sign on to do your showcase, if you're doing it with a producer who's been doing it for many years like any of us, they'll also make sure that your information is in all the right places.
Good point.
Yeah, actually that's true. Part of your deal, so if somebody comes to us and says, Mayor Crandall, and says, I want to showcase in the Mercury Ballroom, and we actually get way more than we can handle, but they wind up making the list, if you will. There's a fee that they pay. Of course, you know, there's video and big sound and crew and backline and all that in the room. But then there's also the marketing that we do on behalf of that room as well. So if you go with somebody, you have somebody that you're in their room or something, ask them what they're doing, because chances are they will be helping you with that as well. The other thing I was going to mention, phone calls don't hurt. You may not get on the phone with them, but you know, there's something I still think, maybe I'm a bit of a dinosaur, but I think there's still something that says something when you pick up the phone and you call someone and you say, I was looking at your calendar for this year and I see you do the sort of thing that I am doing, and I'd love to show you my work. I'm going to be here. I will send you an email, or you can reach me at such and such a number. And, you know, I just think that that personal touch means so much. Personal emails are, you know, personal emails, as Sarah mentioned, that are specific to an audience that you're going to go to is great. But you know, I make a ton of phone calls leading up to the conference to talk to you. Fortunately, fortunately or unfortunately, I've been doing this for way too many years. But I have people that I know. But even people I haven't met before, I will pick up the phone and call and say, you know, I looked at your calendar. I've seen what you're programming, and I think there's some things that my roster may contain that we should talk about. You know, here's my showcase, here's my booth. Would love to see you.
I like that.
Great.
Okay, here we go. Could you describe exhibiting versus showcasing? What is more effective if you're an artist presenting your work for the first time?
Don't showcase without a booth. That's what I say.
Oh, wow.
I think I would say that we actually had an artist on our showcase last year who was not, who for various reasons did not have representation on the floor of the hall. And that was a real problem. Presenters didn't know how to find them. They didn't know how to follow up. And we were scrambling to try to help that artist, but we won't make that mistake again this year.
Wow.
That's interesting.
Completely agree. Go ahead.
Well, that's interesting because I have so many jazz artists who aren't represented by anyone on the floor, and they're able to do their deals in the hallway outside of our, you know, maybe not the most ideal situation because I've had a booth for many years and I just can't manage both of them, but I mean the showcase and the booth at the same time. But I know for a fact that our artists are getting signed and getting dates and getting bookings from presenters as they finish their showcase and as they're standing in the hallway with their, whether they have an agent or don't. And I get a lot of feedback from agents who tell me, or actually not from agents so much, but from presenters who tell me that they've booked artists and we're glad that they were able to find them in a showcase in that room. So I guess it goes both ways. I'm not sure if is it a specialty because we're doing jazz? I'm not sure.
But I think you're a completely unique situation.
Yeah.
I have tons of presenters who will come out of the showcase and tell me, oh man, I love that group. You know, I'll come by the booth and talk to you. I think I agree with Sarah. I think that if you're a first-timer, not having something on the floor for people to find you is really difficult. You've been at this for 14 years, may have developed, and jazz, as you mentioned, is kind of can be viewed as a bastard stepchild sometimes.
Sure.
And so the people that buy jazz, it's sort of a unique circumstance in that particular genre, I think, than your more, I hate the word generic, but your more traditional, you know, but yeah, your more generic stuff, your commercial artists or, you know, the Celtic artists or, you know,
right.
Sean, how many Celtic artists are there out there?
No.
Too many.
Yeah.
So I think that you know, you showcase and somebody says, I remember seeing that Celtic art, where are they? And they can't find them.
Oh, that's bad, yeah.
I think a booth is really necessary.
I do too.
Showcasing, I think that if you have to pick one or the other, I think you do a booth and you try and reach out to people and have them stop by and expect to be pretty slow the first year or two.
Well, can't you not buy a showcase listing? Don't you have to have a booth to buy a showcase listing, or it's just a membership?
No, you don't have to have a booth to buy a showcase listing. You do have to be fully registered for the conference.
So for many, many years, I had a booth, and I always felt like the small kid on the block, of course, because I can remember for years I was right across from ICM, and it was all I saw was the back of people's heads. I've had, just in the last 3 years, I haven't had a booth to test the waters, and because I'm not producing and presenting all my artists, I'm presenting artists from other agencies and from other individuals, actually. So my being at a booth representing one artist didn't seem to be as effective as I would have liked it to be, frankly.
Okay, we have
one more question.
We have another question. Do you feel that physical mail is a useful tool to promote ahead of time, or is it outdated at this point?
I'll take it first. I always do that. I'm old school, and like Jerry pointed out, I do make the telephone calls too, but I also send something that's tangible in their hands. It shows up on their desk. If it ends up in a trash can, that's on them. But I'm of the idea that you do pretty much everything that you possibly can to get your artist noticed and inform the people that you want to come, which is usually the APAP presenters list. And I do send snail mail still as one means. Like I said, I do almost everything that I possibly can, but snail mail being one of those things.
Okay. Anybody else?
We do the same. Go ahead.
No, I'm sorry. I didn't want to jump. Ben, I was just going to tell you, I do not do physical mail.
And we do a postcard with the schedule of the Mercury Ballroom, and that goes out physically.
And do you send it out to the list?
Yeah, we send it to the attendees list.
Okay.
Funny story. A while ago, probably 10 years ago, I came up with this idea. Everybody's doing emails. Nobody was really doing physical mail, and nobody was doing faxes anymore. I thought, I'll be unique. Right. I'll do a fax blast. And the blowback I got for wasting paper was unbelievable.
Oh,
wow.
Back in the day.
So I did that once. I did do it again, but don't seem to get the same kind of response, because if somebody says, oh, look, those 3 acts are playing in the Mercury over the course of the weekend, I got to take that with me. I've seen people bring those postcards, and then like Sean does, we, rather than doing a separate card, we do those same postcards. We don't use them for drink tickets, but we use those same postcards for in the booth and to hand out at the opening night party and whatever else. So it does double duty.
Yeah, those
right.
postcards are very, very important for us as well.
Yeah, we've done a printed postcard as a tote bag insert, and that's been really successful for us. We also developed a very colorful logo that's easy to recognize that we use on every single thing that we put out, and that's helped reinforce our brand, I think.
Well, we even take it to the regionals. So even the next year, I'll have those programs as I'm talking to presenters, and we're even advertising our showcase at all of the regionals. So we created a save the date. So we're already letting people know about it way, way in advance.
Okay. Does anybody else have?
I got one.
Okay.
Hello. Hi. About the idea of finding a good producing partner for a showcase. I'm the guy that had the individual, the one-man show. How do you go about finding a producing partner? Do you go through the presenters list and look for certain people in the list of attendees, or how do I begin to go about trying to find a producing partner?
APAP has a list. APAP has a list. You contact Robert Baird. Judy or Jenny can give you contact on him, and Robert's the one that takes care of all of us people that produce in conjunction with APAP.
Great. His last name is, sorry, it's Baird? Is it Baird?
Baird, B-A-I-R-D.
Great. Okay, thank you very much.
Yeah, the information's on the website.
All right. Thank you so much to all of our panelists. I think we just have a few more minutes. We have a few other things we want to wrap up to make sure everyone knows all the information.
Oh, Megan, you're good, because I was going to go on forever. Thank you. Thank you for the time awareness. So after the conference, so important, follow up on your leads. If you use the lead retrieval device, download your showcase attendee information right away. But I've gone to different seminars and conferences where I've heard that the most important part of the conference/trade show is the follow-up. So I'm a believer. Oh, Megan, here you go.
Yes, there's another one.
Yeah.
So our next slide says Get Social. So APAP does have a presence on most social media platforms. We're really hip and cool. So you can find us on Facebook. There's lots of updates and information you can find there. If you are a new colleague, we also have a new colleagues group that you can join to ask questions and discuss new colleague-y things. You can tweet with us. Our handle is @APAP365. And our hashtag is #APAPNYC. And you can follow us on Instagram at APAP365. And you can also use that hashtag for Twitter on Instagram as well.
And for those people who just can't get enough of our How to APAP series, there's more. We're not leaving you hanging. Upcoming, we have Getting the Most Out of Your Year-Round APAP Membership. What's wrong?
It's September 25th.
Oh.
You don't have to wait a month.
Oh, snatcheroni. Thanks for being in the room, Jenny. Oh, it's not October, guys. It's September. Woo! Okay, I'll say it again. Getting the most out of your year-round APAP membership. It is September 25th at 2 p.m. You can listen to the previous first-timers webinars at first-time attendees at apapnyc.org.
Great.
Thank you so much to the panel, to the APAP staff, and for all the attendees. Looking forward to seeing you in January.
Bye. Thanks,
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.